I'll just start the recording, and Kevin, if you got any questions, and maybe we can bounce back and forth.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, Alex, again, thanks for putting this together, and Bree, thanks for talking to us. How long have you been back in Florida? You guys just finished school last week, right?
Yeah, I'm actually not in Florida right now. I'm in Connecticut because I have family in Connecticut as well.
Oh,
So,
okay, gotcha. Oh,
yeah.
okay. All right. And when did you leave campus?
I left campus, I believe, May 3rd.
Oh, okay. All right. And you just finished your freshman year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Did you enjoy your first year of college?
I did, yes.
Okay. It got a little strange on April 20th, but
Yeah.
okay. All right. Well, Bree, what was that like? The obvious question. What was it like? It must have been nice for you because you were going back to your home state to play a couple games, I guess, right? So you were probably really looking forward to this trip, right?
Yes. The trip in itself was very fun. We found a lot of successes. We actually didn't win any games because we're still a growing program, but we did make a lot of progress. And we actually traveled with a lot less girls than we normally would. So we did really well. I was very excited to go back home for games. We had a great time. Even on the bus, a 12-hour ride back. We were kind of dreading it, but everything was going good until that happened. And it was just very honestly scary, and it was just something that like none of us expected, especially myself. And I was just, it was very nerve-wracking because we didn't really know what was going to happen next, or what they would try and say, because we already knew that they were able to come on the bus and tell us that we were being searched, so we didn't know what else they could possibly do. And it was really scary, and it was honestly my first encounter with the police.
I was going to ask you that, yeah, because when I talked to your coach, that's what she said. She said it was kind of the first experience for a lot of you. Yeah, and my feeling was that that when the officer began speaking to you guys,
Mhm.
his tone was rather accusatory or suggestive, and I was just wondering if that was what you women on the team kind of felt or experienced or sensed as well.
Yes, definitely. That was one of the main things we were talking about as it was happening. He was asking us, but it wasn't really asking. He was basically almost threatening us, and would keep saying, I'm not looking for a little bit of marijuana, but I'm sure your chaperones are going to be disappointed. And all of us knew we didn't have anything on us. We're Division I lacrosse players. So yeah, it was very accusatory without a doubt. We all felt that way.
Do you know if your bag was searched, or if any of your stuff was searched?
I am not sure on that because I was actually sitting on the other row, so I would kind of like jump up, and like we were all looking out the window, like looking at them as they were doing it, but I couldn't. There was a few other of my teammates' bags, and when their bags were getting searched, we would be like, "Oh, that's your bag." Like they're going through your makeup, like. But
Right.
I don't know if mine was searched or not. But
I was so impressed, after watching the body cam video, how impressive your teammate was, who had her gift bag opened.
yeah.
When she was kind of summoned up to the front of the bus. I mean, she was so cool and calm and collected and said all the right things,
Right.
while the cop is basically standing there saying, yeah, a lot of times when we get one of these,
Right.
what did you think of the way she reacted, and did that kind of maybe give you all a little bit of comfort?
Yes, definitely. That is actually one of our captains. She's a senior and she's graduating this year. She's known on our team for being just a great leader. She's very mature. She's just a great leader. So it didn't really surprise me that she handled it the way she did. And it did definitely give us all some comfort, although we couldn't really, some of us couldn't hear, myself, especially being in the back, I couldn't really hear what was going on. So in the time, but just seeing how when I saw her go up to the front, I had no doubt that she would have handled it the way she handled it. And seeing the body cam footage now, I'm just, all of us are basically like, well, she's better than us, because we probably wouldn't have known what to say. We would have took offense to what he was telling us. And although she probably did, she just handled it great, and she was very respectful. All of us were respectful throughout the whole thing, as respectful as we could be. So
Yeah, good for you. Go ahead, Alex. Did you want to ask her anything?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about something. I believe, yeah, Coach Anna was telling me a couple days ago. Apparently, one of your teammates has bloodlines to Elijah McClain, or did have bloodlines. Were you
yes,
familiar with this? And
yes.
I mean, just kind of knowing about that. I mean, how'd you feel for her in that situation
Oh.
and whatnot?
Right. In that situation, I actually wasn't aware of that before everything occurred. It was something we found out about like after, in our conversations after, and all of us were just like feeling even more bad for her, just sharing her experience. And she was shocked like the rest of us, but she was really just upset about it, even more so than the rest of us. And just, I don't know, we just really made sure that we're kind of like just comforting her a little bit more so, and just really like asking her about the Elijah McClain situation, because a lot of us weren't aware that she had relation to him. So we were just checking up on her and just, yeah.
Which teammate was that, Bree?
Sanaya Craft.
Okay, and they're what, cousins?
I'm not sure. I'm not
Okay.
sure the relation.
Okay, right.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, what did that moment specifically, kind of just knowing that, I mean, looking back on that situation that happened on April 20th, I mean, just kind of piecing those things together, just what did you think, the team maybe perhaps learned from that, just knowing just what went down? And I mean, we kind of already talked about it a little bit, just what you guys learned from that day.
What we learned from that day was just playing lacrosse for us. We've seen in our games before, even when it comes to the calls we receive from the refs, how we can do something that this other team is doing, but we're twice as likely to be called out for it. Honestly, it wasn't really a big shocker to us. I mean, we were in shock, but we just really learned that it was another thing that we were going to have to, I guess, come to terms with, and that we weren't gonna, I mean, there's only so much we can do when it comes to, inequity, especially within our sport that's predominantly white. But this was one of the things where we really were like, okay, well, something has to happen about this, because it was just something that no one should go through, let alone a Division I sports team. So we basically were just determined to spread it as much as we could, and to let people know what exactly happened, and that basically we were violated.
Are you surprised nothing came out sooner, Bree? Because it was a few weeks
Right.
before, the school said they were kind of looking into it and things like that, but nobody really knew anything about it until the article in your school paper last week.
Yeah, I'm not really surprised. As I'm not sure what was happening with the investigation, but I'm not surprised because normally once things get out, especially and it's written, typed out for you, and Sydney did like a great job. That's my teammate, and I'm so proud of her. She did a great job writing it and just telling it as it was. And I think when it was published and all of us shared it, a lot of DSU students and staff shared it. So I'm not really surprised, because it spread around quickly, and with social media and everything, I'm not surprised that people saw it in TikTok, Twitter, everything. So I'm not really surprised that it took that long, because I think Sydney organized it it was a very easy to read, and kind of just, she said it as it was. So yeah.
Were you guys purposely trying to, kind of not go on social media about it before that? Because there really wasn't even, at least that I'm aware of, a peep about it until then.
Yes, and that's another thing that's kind of funny, because almost all of us were posting it as it happened, whether it was on Instagram, Snapchat. So we were posting, like, we took pictures of the officers. The majority of us put it on our Instagrams. I guess it just really didn't gain the same. People were asking us if we were okay. We were on the phone with our parents. Everyone is basically saying, hey, this needs to be brought to light. But no, yeah, I'm kind of surprised it didn't really get passed around beforehand, because we were posting about it.
Interesting.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask what those conversations were like. I mean, was Sydney the one who decided, amongst the group that, hey, I should write something on this? I mean, what kind of went down in the week, maybe the days and maybe a week
Mhm.
after, this happened for her to make the decision to construct a firsthand account of this?
Right. It was actually right after the incident occurred is when she started saying, "Hey, I think I'm gonna do a story on this," as she is a journalism major, along with myself. And we were all encouraging her. We were like, "Yeah, you totally should," because we all know she's like a great writer. And so it was actually moments after it happened when she got the idea to write about it, and she began asking everyone for any pictures or videos they had, and she started taking statements from everyone that day. So she was really right on that. But yeah, the conversations we had were basically just leading up to what was going to be done and who was going to tell how it was going to how we were going to go about letting people know about it. But we were really banking on Sydney, honestly, to get it out there and write something great.
Hey, Bree, how did you end up at Delaware State? How did, Delaware State end up being the school where you decided to go to college? It's a long way, a long way
Yeah.
from home.
I actually it took me a while. I visited several Florida schools. At first, I was stuck on being in Florida, getting in-state tuition, of course. But I found out that Delaware State had. I've heard of the school before. I actually have. I'm familiar with some people that I've went to school with in the past years in Connecticut that have gone to that school because it's a good track school. And
Yeah,
I
it
knew it
is.
was an HBCU, but I did not know that they offered lacrosse. And the lacrosse team actually began following my lacrosse Instagram, and it really took me a few days, and I decided that I really wanted to go there. I told my coach, I was like, "Yeah, I'm really sound the school. It's an HBCU," and I with any school I talked to, I really just made it very clear that demographics were a big, concern of mine. And it was hard to find what I was looking for anywhere else. So, yeah.
If you lived in both Connecticut and Florida?
Yes, I lived in Connecticut up until the age of 13, and then I moved to Florida. And I lived in Cape Coral, Florida, and then I moved to Naples when I was 16.
Okay, but you still have family in Connecticut too?
Yes, yes.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah, I was going to ask, have Kevin kind of get a little background on this. I mean, making the comparison, playing for predominantly white school last year, playing there throughout your high school career, to
Mhm.
kind of just going to it, obviously more people of color at the current school.
Right.
Just putting those side by side, we talked about a couple days ago. Can you just kind of talk about that again and just
Yes.
open some perspective there?
I just think it's been a totally different experience for me, and it's been a more positive experience. Playing even playing for club teams and playing at CSN, I can't say I haven't had a good experience because I have, but it's just a lot of the times I felt like I had to, even being a captain my senior year, I could speak out, but when it came to certain things, I didn't really speak out a lot because there was times where I was considered to be too aggressive, or my tone was considered something other than it was. And I don't know, just at Delaware State, I found that I could speak out. I have people who I can talk to that notice the same things that I notice, are into the same things I'm into. And it's just I felt like I could be more myself while playing the sport that I love. So it's just been a totally different experience. And I've noticed also when it comes to, like I mentioned before, the refereeing and even how we're kind of looked upon or looked at, it's like we're the more aggressive team, although when you really look at film and look at games, we're not. It's a lot of the times the same calls, but there's a lot of biases that go into it, and it's almost like we're thought of to be more tough so that we can take more hits and more aggression. But when we reciprocate it, we're immediately called out for it. And at CSN, I've never experienced anything like that. And I don't think it has any difference with it being college versus high school rules, because even when we played teams such as like Golden Gate and Lely and other teams like that, I noticed that even calls towards them would be much more, they'd be quicker to call them on stuff than they would for us. So
What does CSN stand for, your high school? What does that stand for?
Community School of Naples.
Oh, okay. And that's a predominantly white school?
Yeah, it's a private school.
Oh, it's a private school.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, and
Thanks for describing that. That was interesting.
yeah, and for your background, Kevin, I mean, Golden Gate and Lely, kind of in the more minority centric schools.
Mhm.
Just to kind of give you a little perspective there. So I understand what she's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I got what you mean. We have a lot of that. We have a lot of that up here.
Mhm.
And more so in northern Delaware than, than
Mhm.
central Delaware, where Delaware State is. Yeah, I know exactly
Yeah.
what you mean.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, Bree, thanks so much for doing this and talking with us. This is
Yeah.
your perspective is really, really great and really interesting, and it's really great to to hear what you have to say. And Alex, thank you, my USA Today Network colleague, for
Of course.
for putting this together and doing it. It's nice to meet you and see you and talk to Bree, and I really appreciate you guys doing this. This is really interesting.
Of course.
I have one final question for you
Sure.
guys. Since I know you guys are both in the field of journalism, that's actually my area of study in college. So I just was wondering if you guys had any like, I'm going to be a rising sophomore. I'm starting to look at like internships, and I was just wondering if you guys had any pieces of advice for me.
Do you like to write?
Yes.
Read anything you can, so you know what good writing sounds like.
Okay.
Get every opportunity you can to practice your writing. My email address, Bree, will be at the bottom of my story when it comes out. You can send me an email, and we sometimes have internships at the News Journal.
Okay.
And sometimes we also need freelance reporters to maybe cover. It's mostly high school football.
Mm-hmm.
But we do sometimes, need freelance reporters to help out with us, and maybe, that's something that we could have you do a little bit of.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
mean, the advice I would give you, Bree, is, never hesitate to ask questions. You can always ask the tough questions, when applicable. I can give you more in-depth stuff. I usually like to construct things in writing before I send it. I like to think things through a little bit. So I can give you my email, and I'd be glad to answer anything you have.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. I really
Oh,
appreciate
sure.
Yes.
Anything you ever want to know, any questions, any concerns? Yeah. Feel free to drop me an email, Bree.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate that.
Well, thanks. Yeah. Well, thanks for agreeing to do this with us. And Alex, thanks again for setting it up. Really appreciate it.
Of course. You want me to send you this copy?
Oh, sure. That'd be great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Excellent. All right, you two.
All right. Bye,
Perfect.
guys.
Have a great weekend. All right. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.